Nicholas of Cusa. In the 21st century, Nicholas of Cusa, or Cusanus, is variously appreciated as a Christian disciple of the burgeoning Italian humanism of the 15th century, one of the great mystical theologians and reforming bishops of the late Middle Ages, and a dialogical religious thinker whose philosophical and political ideas peacefully contemplated the unity of old wisdom and new Christian and Muslim religious aspirations, and even the differences between cultures and nations. As a humanist, he praised the plain-spoken delivery of the idiota or late philosopher more than the excessive eloquence or vast erudition of well-trained scholar. Nicholas of Cusa retrieved the idea of limits of human knowing not just as a finite end, but as a path of inquiry centered on the infinite. The seeker of wisdom who follows Cusanus' path to wisdom needs to tread that itinerary anew every day. Cusanus combined conjectural knowing with a new synthesis of the immanence of the absolute in the world and dared to think about the relationship between God and the world in terms of a logic of the coincidence of opposites. He creatively investigated the analogy between God, who creates the world, with the beauty and the artisanship of the human mind. This process of searching for analogies between the inexpressible absolute and the world that can be represented and investigated on the map yielded new insights into art, language, and even creation itself. Cusanus was not considered as a significant thinker in the history of Western thought until the late 18th and early 19th centuries. His entrance onto the stage of modern thought is itself revealing. In the 19th century, German philosophers rediscovered Cusanus' conjectures on infinite worlds, perspectival knowing, and the scientific method. Later neo-Kantians such as Hermann Cohen and Ernest Cassirer popularized the idea that Cusanus was a Neoplatonic forerunner of the modern scientific worldview, and his reputation as a modern German speculative giant began to grow. In 1932, Heidelberg, however, the erudite Jewish scholar Raymond Klibanski started a critical edition of Cusanus' work, partly to challenge the myth of a modern Cusanus by documenting amply the ancient and medieval inheritances. Klibanski's groundbreaking initiative, which soon moved to Oxford and then Canada due to Nazi persecution of Jews, would not be completed until the first decade of the 21st century, by which point it included the editing of all of the sermons as well. This massive and long-awaited effort has changed the face of studies of Cusanus permanently. Now scholars of multiple disciplines and philosophers of highly diverse schools of thought can read the complete works and evaluate them in their entirety. He came from the town of Cusa on the Moselle River and was born with the name Nicholas Krebs or Krebs in German. He received the Latin name of Cusanus, which means the one from Cus. His background was neither that of upper class nor the lower class, since his father was a moderately well-to-do boatman and vineyard owner who served on juries and lent money to local nobility. He excelled in learning and was sent first to Heidelberg 1 year before obtaining a doctorate in canon law in Padua in 1423. There in Padua, He made contacts with humanist, contemporary artist developments, in any case attracted his attention, including the prose works of Patriarch and Leon Battista Alberti's treatise on art. After a few years of study, and perhaps teaching, in Cologne, in the early 1430s, he began to preach with a passion for love of God that he attributed to the Italian reformer Bernardino of Siena. His ordination to the priesthood took place at some point in the 1430s, and is one of the few acts in his adult life that is not well documented. His eclectic system of thought pointed in the direction of a transition between the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. In his own day, as in ours, Nicholas was most widely known for his early work on learned ignorance. Indeed, it gives expression of his view that the human mind needs to discover its necessary ignorance of what the divine being is like, an ignorance that results from the infinite, ontological, and cognitive disproportion between infinity itself, that is God, and the finite human or angelic knower. Correlated with the doctrine of docta ignorantia, that is, the coincidence of opposites in God. All things coincide in God in the sense that God, as undifferentiated being, is beyond all opposition, beyond all determination, as this rather than that.